All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. How is everybody doing today? Just figured I'd give a little bit of an update. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter show today. If you can go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing, that would be much appreciated. So what is going on in the land of college football today? The big news is out of Columbus. The Jeremiah Smith promise. He promised in a media opportunity, promised the Ohio State that he would never lose to Michigan again. I find that very interesting on the premise of Michigan has beat him 4 times in a row. So that is one thing that needs to be looked at. I think that, going forward, what's the landscape of the Big Ten look like? What is everything going to look like as far as that for Ohio State? I would say Ohio State is the overall favorite to win the Big Ten. Do I think that they come out and beat Michigan? Well, everything that in the past and everything that I've, being somebody who bets on college football, I just don't know in that spot how you wouldn't want to take Michigan to win the game, or Michigan in the points. The last couple years for Ryan Day and Ohio State, it's not gone well at all. It's pretty much just, I wouldn't say fallen apart, but everything that could go wrong in the game has gone wrong in the game. This is the one major accomplishment that Ryan Day needs to that Ryan Day needs to get off the old bucket list, is get back on the winning track against Michigan. He's already won a national championship. So at this juncture, do I feel like that Jeremiah Smith coming out and making this promise is a good idea? No, I don't. I think when you promise things, the way the Michigan fan base is, the way it is now, there's certain things that get used in the rivalry that shouldn't be used in the rivalry, in my opinion. But like certain individuals, I think that even regardless of whatever the punishment is for Michigan, we've been pretty loud about it. Nothing's happened yet. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not going to stake my whole reputation on trying to predict if that program's going to get punished or not. You deal with it when it comes. That's just the way I look at it. The Wolverines and everyone around the program are saying nothing's going to happen or this is going to happen. I don't know until the NCAA renders a decision, and then I'll just react to it. That's just where I'm at with it now. I'm not going to try to predict or anything of that sort. So that's just where we're at with that. But do I think Jeremiah Smith's he's probably the top player in college football, which to my estimation, I would say it's him and Caleb Downs. So here's the thing. Jeremiah Smith is not in charge of throwing him the football. As you've seen last year, if you're Ohio State fans, I think you should be very nervous when something like this comes out. I get it just off a national championship, but no Will Howard, another first-year starter. It's three years in a row for Ohio State to have a first-year starter. The last consecutive starter at quarterback was CJ Stroud. So you went from McCord to Howard, now to Sayin. I think it's a lot of it's going to be a big wait and see kind of in my guesstimation um, for the quarterback position. I don't know. Ryan Day, I don't believe is named a starter yet, but I really don't think it matters. I think Sayin's going to be the guy. I think if Julian Sayin wasn't going to be the guy, I think that he would have left. I think that's why Devin Brown left, because I think the competition was over before it started. That's just my opinion. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but that's just something that I look at, because I don't think the guys would have exited the program like they did. I mean, I can't believe they kept Lincoln Keenholz to stick around. So I feel like that's a interesting endeavor. You know, you got to take care of the people that are on your side. So I feel like whenever you have the Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, and a lot of that going on, I just feel like that they can make it work. It's just, to what extent is it going to work? I feel like when you get to a certain point, that's just what it is. But also, if you're catching this live or on delay, just be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Both Carter and Richie are out today. Both got things going on. It's been a little hectic here at the podcast, so that is just where we're at this point in time. The 4th of July is pretty much the drop dead date. We'll have try to get everything back on schedule going forward, but that is what we got rolling. But also, Pete Nakos put out a list of projected starters at all the Big Ten schools going forward. Luke Altmaier, obviously, going to start at Illinois. Fernando Mendoza, Mark Gronkowski, Justin Martin at Maryland, Mark Gronkowski of Iowa. I mean, everybody kind of knows that they're not shocked to see that Bryce Underwood is going to start at Michigan. Aiden Childs, Drake Lindsey, Dylan Raiola, Preston Stone, Julian Sayin, Dante Moore, Drew Aller. So I don't think there's anybody that sticks out per se as a projected starter in the Big Ten. I don't think there's some like big shocking update. I just look at that list, and I think everybody that is named to this list is probably going to start. I look at that, and I just think that there's no real shocks. Whenever it comes down to it, I think that that's just something to be said. And then we get over to the ESPN side of things a little bit. Paul Feinbaum on Get Up has claimed that Arch Manning is the best college quarterback we've seen since Tim Tebow entered in 2006. I don't know. I mean, Arch has got to go out there and prove a lot, being a first-year starter. So I think that going out there and trying to undo this whole deal because of the hype train that Arch is on. I just don't feel like that it's got to the place where you can anoint him as the quote unquote best player in college football. I mean, JJ Smith is pretty good. I think a lot of the pundits would probably agree with me on that one. I don't know what the be all end all is going to be on the Arch Manning stuff. I think for Texas, it's pretty much national championship or bust because of how close they were. They just couldn't quite get over the hump whenever they played Ohio State. The red zone pretty much killed them, and Ohio State had one of the greatest goal line stands in, I believe, Cotton Bowl history. So that is also something to be said about it. I don't think that when it comes down to it, it's going to be Texas. I mean, I think that Sark and them have an immense amount of pressure on them just for the simple fact of national championship. Everything that is going and where it's going needs to be buttoned up and solved. Do I think that Sark's on the hot seat by any means? No, I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I think that there's going to be, how do I want to say it, some complaining, some whiners going to be coming out of the University of Texas because they are spending tremendous amounts of money and they are just not getting it pushed all the way through. I think that is something to be said as well. I just look at it and I think to myself, Sark's got to get it done. He's got to get over the hump, or he's never going to get over the hump, because I think Arch Manning's the best that they've maybe had outside of Quinn Ewers or Colt McCoy at quarterback, or maybe even Vince Young. So I look at everything that is going on as far as what they've got going on. I think Texas is the number 2 team. But we're going to find out how good Texas is in week 1 because they actually play Ohio State, and it's going to probably be the game of the year week 1, not week 0, week 1. So that is also something to be said. Just looking at the college football cover page, it just goes to show you how much the 4-letter network does not pay attention. They have under the radar players that could emerge for a top 25 team, and they have Carnell Tate on there, and I don't see how that's even going to fly, because Carnell Tate's probably, if he comes out, is probably going to be a first-round draft pick as a wide receiver. I'm going to assume so because of the measurables and how he'll test in the game film. So that's pretty much what I would be anticipating for him. Just some other things that are on the cover page. If you're not, you have to be a diehard college football fan to be watching a college football show in the month of July. The Texas State signing over the Pac-12. I don't know what the Pac-12 is hoping to accomplish by that. I find it very odd, to be honest. I mean, I get it. They needed an 8th member. So is the Sun Belt going to look for somebody? This conference realignment is kind of a mess. I don't think that it does not. I don't think it's conducive for anybody. If I can find it, the state of Texas has They're now part of the Pac-12, Conference USA, ACC, Mountain West, Big 12, SEC, and the American all in one state. So I don't know how that equates to student athletes. I feel like that is something to keep an eyeball on. I just cannot believe that they've gotten this far, and it's just wild to me that you have 5 to 6 different conferences in one state. One's based on the West Coast, the other one East Coast. Just one of those things, and I just can't fathom how that is going to shake out for anybody. So, with that being said, we'll move on. UNC extends their AD. Cunningham extended Newmark, future AD. I don't know what North Carolina is doing. They better hope the Belichick thing shakes out well, because the local media will eat him alive if they suck. I'm just telling you now, because of how Bill's been running everything. I think the local media will eat him alive, just because of how they've been handling the whole situation. And then you have the girlfriend thing. I just feel like it is a ticking time bomb disaster there. And then the suit against BYU's Radcliffe of the R word has been dismissed. So that is where that stands. I believe that kid is going to transfer for violating the honor code at BYU. So nothing too out of the ordinary there. Do I think the kid's a pretty decent player? Yeah. BYU has a certain stringent rules, and they don't bend those rules for anybody. So that's just how that's going to be. Some people don't like it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they are not going to, at the University of Brigham Young, they are not going to bend the rules for football. They're not, it's not to say they're not a serious program, but those rules don't bend for just anybody. I don't think people realize that and what that entails. So that's just one thing. That's one side of it. I get it. Some people may not be real happy with him, but at BYU they're going to strap it up and they're going to play football regardless of who the quarterback is. That is just one thing. I thought BYU had a pretty good shot to win the Big 12, and the way if anything's taught anybody anything about the Big 12, the Big 12 is as wide open gets. I don't think that it's one of those. It's kind of one of those deals that they've had that they've got rid of the media pool just for the thing of Arizona State winning it last year, winning the whole damn conference last year, and they were picked dead last. I think they did that to save the media some bother, and then they will just privately rank them, I would say, and just call it wide open and see who's got the best shot to win the conference. You got BYU, Arizona State. I think Houston will be better. I'll be interested to see what Colorado looks like with Dion. So that is just one side of it. So, but moving on, the SEC Unfiltered ranked the top quarterbacks in the SEC. I thought this list was very interesting because there's some guys that I would have higher that they have lower. Garrett Nussmeier, it's hard to argue with that one, him being the number one overall quarterback. Lenoris Sellers, I think there's tremendous upside with Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina. I'll be interested to see what South Carolina does this year. didn't make the playoffs, didn't end the season on the highest of notes. Shane Beamer, Brett Bielema ended up pretty much locking horns in that bowl game. And Beamer wanted to fight Bielema, which I don't think that would have turned out good for Shane. But I think that at South Carolina, they got to see if they can take the next step. That is one of the things that they need to do and to get it going. That's just one thing there with South Carolina. They've always been able to get close, but not completely over the hump. Maybe Lenora Sellers can take them over that. And then you got Garrett Nussmeier being the number one overall quarterback. I mean, I get it, it's July, but he's kind of all over the mock draft scene, and he's the number one guy on all the mock lists. Oh, excuse me. And then LSU's got to figure out the whole defense thing, but if they figure out the defense thing, they'll probably be okay. Moving on, DJ Lagway 3. I think DJ Lagway, from a pure talent standpoint, I think he's the best quarterback in the conference. Some people will probably disagree with that. I think Florida's on a major upswing, and I think they're going to scare some people this year. Last year they beat LSU and they beat Ole Miss in back-to-back weeks. It ended up taking care of Florida State, even though Florida State had more inches of snow than they did wins. That's just how it went down there in Tallahassee. So Lagway, I believe, is very talented. Arch Manning, obviously the top build. Some people will probably freak out that Arch isn't one on this list and probably think I'm crazy that DJ Lagway is a talented kid. So that's just where I sit on that. And then Diego Pavia. Diego is one of those kids that I think that isn't going to play on Sundays, but he is a gritty, tough kid. And I think that Diego got paid this year, so I think this is the last hurrah. Maybe Diego can play in the XFL or the UFL. I doubt it. He might get a camp invite, maybe, but somebody might check it out to see what's there. Austin Simmons, number 6 at Ole Miss. I think this kid's going to be better than what people think, especially playing for Lane. He played a little bit last year, especially in the Egg Bowl. He came out and marched down the field all over Mississippi State, which I get. It. State was one of the worst. One of the worst team is the worst team in the SEC from last year. So that's just that. Marcel Reed is going to be an interesting watch for Texas A&M. Connor Wagman leaves town. They do not. I think it was kind of quiet as kept. Connor Wagman ends up taking off, goes over to Houston. Marcel Reed, this is his team. Now we'll see what Texas A&M looks like. I think they'll be very good defensively again, although they did lose. I think they lost 3 defensive linemen to the draft: Scorton, Singleton, and somebody else. I didn't watch a whole lot of A&M last year, but they had some players on the defensive side of the ball. And then Talon Green at Arkansas. I think Arkansas could probably – I think Arkansas will be a little bit better than what their record will show. I think a 6-6, 7-5 for the Hogs is probably about balls dead accurate. I don't know if Talon Green has enough around him to completely elevate the Hogs like some people would want, but that's just the way that cookie's going to crumble. And then here comes another fascinating study. Jackson Arnold with the Auburn Tigers, number 9 on this list. I could see why he's 9, why they ranked him 9. Jackson Arnold did not look good at Oklahoma. Like Luke Combs says, there is no love in Oklahoma for Jackson Arnold. He ended up dipping up out of there. Venables fires the OC. I believe he got benched last year. Does Hugh Freeze have a Hugh Freeze special in him this year? Because I think so. I think he either beats Georgia or Alabama, one of those two, just in my opinion, because Hugh Freeze will do something to where it'll justify Auburn to where it's like, we have proof of concept here, because he's had to completely rebuild the program. Brian Harsin was an abject disaster. I don't think it was a good fit from the beginning. I just don't see that. I just didn't see it there with Harsin. So Hugh Freeze is trying to win now. The fans are impatient, but that is just where that's at. John Meter, Oklahoma. He lit the scoreboard up at Wazoo last year. Can he do the same? His OC is the guy from Wazoo, brought him with him. So I think Brett Bielema is cashing in the chips, or not Brett Bielema, Brett Venables cashing in the chips there, because I think if OU has another lackluster 6-6, 7-5, I don't know if they'll fire him, but it ain't going to be – it's going to get weird down there in Norman. Blake Shapen, Mississippi State. I think that one of the big things going on with State right now is they're not spending resources to get players. I don't know what they're doing. It's like they're compiling all types of cash to maybe, I don't know, start spending. I think that's one of the big things that's going on at State. They're just not spending any money. So that's just my opinion. Gunnar Stockton, I think we need more of a sample size on him. I think there just needs to be more tape, we just need more everything on him. Ty Simpson, going to be probably the most criticized quarterback on this list, probably besides Arch Manning. Ty Simpson at the University of Alabama. Do I think that it'll be fair, whatever criticism Ty Simpson gets? No, it's not going to be. Alabama and DeBoer are under extreme pressure, I feel like, to make the playoffs after last year. But I think that Alabama, with the initial Saban retiring, was so huge, and it pretty much rocked the college football world. It dominated it all off season. By him retiring, I don't think that is going to be the be all end all. I think that DeBoer can probably build it back and get it back, not to maybe the level it was or the stranglehold, but it's going to take him a little bit. And also, especially if Hugh Freeze and the Tigers have a little success going forward, I think it'll be very interesting. And then next on the list is Bo Probula. I believe that's a kid from Penn State. He's slid on over to Missouri with Drinkowitz. I think that's going to be an interesting combination there. I think Missouri was very interesting last year. Excuse me. Them going on the road last year and just getting absolutely boat raced by Texas A&M is kind of fascinating to me, but we'll see what Missouri is. They were out of the playoff hunt pretty early. I don't think that it's one of those things that Missouri is completely DOA. I just feel like Missouri might be able to put up a fight. Do I think Bo Probula is better than Brady Cook? I think they take a step back at quarterback, but I think they'll be good on defense. Their offensive line seems like it's going to be pretty decent. So, and then Kentucky, I don't know. Who knows what Mark Stoops and them are going to do, because I think they started 3 different quarterbacks last year. So whoever starts week 1, I mean, I'm trying to think of who their starter was last year. The kid retired. So I think that's how it's going at quarterback for Kentucky. And then Joey Aguilar at Tennessee. The Nico stuff, with Nico leaving, I don't know what Tennessee's going to look like I don't know how your expectations are going to be through the roof for, like, I've seen some Tennessee fans talking about playoffs. I don't know what I don't think Tennessee is a playoff team, not without Nico. I think both sides are going to have a little buyer's remorse because Nico goes to UCLA, he goes home, but I just think that he probably, the better offensive line, the better defense was at Tennessee. And I think since Nico broke up the band, I don't know how you put that toothpaste back in the tube. But moving on, we have which this is by College Football Select. They made a graphic. Which last place team will have the most wins in 2025 out of all the conferences? Florida State, Kennesaw State, Mississippi State, Tulsa, Oklahoma State, Southern Miss, Purdue, Kent State, Nevada, Washington State, and UMass. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think Mississippi State will win, or not Mississippi State, Southern Miss with Charles Huff. I think a lot of people forget that Charles Huff coming over from Marshall is the new head coach there, so I think that's something to be desired. That is just my opinion on that. And then we'll get everybody out of here with a quick show tonight. I know it's holiday week. People are probably getting ready to get traveling. We got a lot of things going on. So the 12-team playoff, the newest analyst or reporter over at On3, because not to make them look like they're morally bankrupt, but they've hired Brett McMurphy. Yay. Because this guy doesn't make stories up for clicks, allegedly. Allegedly lied about something, but that's a whole nother thing. But as the bracket reads, the number one overall seed Brett McMurphy has is Notre Dame. He's got Penn State as the number 2 overall seed, but I'll just read the matchups. 8-9, Oregon LSU. He's got Oregon winning that. And then 5-12, he's got Texas playing Boise State. I don't think Boise State is going to be a playoff team this year. That's just my opinion. I think another group of 5 school will end up getting in there. But I do not think they're going to rank them high enough to get a bye. I think the committee learned their lesson on that one because Boise State got absolutely caved in. And I don't think you get 2 ACC schools because of how bad SMU looked. That's just my opinion. I don't think you get 2 Big 12 schools in either. I think it's going to be the Big 10 getting the extra buys. But I just don't think that you're going to get I don't think you'll get a 3-loss team. I don't think the committee is going to bend on that. So in the Big 10, they got to get it figured out. But and then on the other side of the bracket, he's got Texas beating Boise State. On the other side of the bracket, which I think would be an absolute banger, Miami versus Alabama. And then on the bottom end of it, you've got Clemson taking on Utah. He's got Clemson and Alabama winning those matches. So on the next round of games, which Notre Dame can't get a bye. So way to go, Brett McMurphy. You have fucked up already. But because Notre Dame can't get a bye, I don't believe so. He's got Notre Dame beating Oregon, Ohio State beating Texas. And then on the other side of the bracket, he's got Alabama playing Penn State and Georgia playing Clemson. He's got Penn State beating Alabama, which I highly doubt that would happen. And then you have Clemson losing to Georgia, which I think that game's going to be a lot closer. I think that you could have possibly I think Clemson could win that outright, but that's just my opinion. He's got Georgia moving on, and then he has Ohio State beating Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, 2025 national champion. His champion is Georgia. So that is pretty much where that is at. That is Brett McMurphy giving Notre Dame a bye. I don't believe they can have a bye. And then this in right off of on 3, the NCAA legislative relief. The NCAA Committee on Legislative Relief announced that it will issue a waiver to allow athletes that Division I programs place on designated student athlete list to enter the transfer portal between July 7th and August 5th. So we're getting a new one-time transfer portal window. I don't think that's a terrible idea. So kudos to them to try to figure this out. The transfer portal is kind of out of control. I think it should just be like after the season, in between spring ball, and once you make the decision to enter it, it's what it is. So that's just the way I am letting the cookie crumble on that. But so there you have it. I don't think that there's really anything else pressing. Rolling a little solo show by myself tonight. So with that being said, if you like this content, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. We're only going to be having more content coming out in the coming weeks. Apologize to everybody. It's been a little hit or miss, but everybody just on the show has all kinds of things going on, between me, Richie, and Carter. We all have kids all under the age of 10, so our time is spread very thin. But with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing, and probably catch you guys tomorrow. Don't know about the 4th yet. Maybe a night show, maybe not. We'll have to see. But with that being said, everybody have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for Steel City at 9:30. Have a good one, everybody.